Welcome. You're listening to The Best of Investing. I'm your host, Edward Brown. My two co-hosts, Mark Hanf and Nam Phan, are out today. Our phone number is 888-912-1190. Use that number to answer the trivia questions for a 5-pack tanning certificate given away during this show. And that certificate's not sponsored by the radio station, but by Tan Bella Tanning Salon with 2 locations in San Francisco and 1 in Marin. Today's trivia theme is somewhat old TV shows. So we'll see how that works. All right, we do have our special guest who's been on for a couple of times already this last 6 months, Michael Brouse, who is a reverse mortgage specialist. Michael, welcome back to The Best of Investing.
Thank you, Edward. It's good to be joining you again, your audience.
Yeah, no, that's been good. So you want to give us first a little update? I mean, a lot of people who've been listening to this show already know what reverse mortgages are, and we may go back and revisit that as to what they are. But let's just get right into it. Are there any updates for us? Any kind of special programs you have?
Yeah, I think the last time we were on, I don't know if the what's called the max claim amount had been announced. So it's up north of $1 million now. I think it's $1,049,000 and some change. Okay. So that's allowing more borrowers to take advantage of higher principal limits. So that's one new thing. Okay. The demise of a couple large reverse only companies has come to pass. Reverse mortgage funding.
What happened?
They, according to what they wrote about themselves, they just took on a servicing portfolio from another large reverse mortgage lender, which means it took a greater capacity of their resources. And the parent company said, this does not look good for us. Interest rates have crept up, originations are down, and we're going to pull the plug on the whole operation. So pretty serious business.
So for those people who, let's talk about that for a minute. So if I took out a reverse mortgage and I took the entire amount, I'm assuming that there would be just a different servicer at that point. They sold a loan to somebody else effectively, and I get a nice little love letter saying, hi, we're the new company that you're going to pay your mortgage to. Okay.
That's right.
But what if it's like a line of credit and I've only taken, 300,000 and I could have potentially taken 500. What happens to that extra 200,000?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the first thing I did when I found out about the RMF's demise, because I was there for about a year and helped a lot of clients there. And so the first thing I did was just pull out, my contacts and begin to call people and said, hey, this is what happened. What have you received? Yeah. And so they said, some of them, we got a letter saying that this is our new servicer and that there should not even be a hiccup in your ability to access the funds that you have set aside through the reverse mortgage. So knock on wood, so far so good. There's nobody that's called me and said, this has been a horrible experience. I can't get my money. They won't call me back. So I think they did a fairly good job considering the magnitude of the impact of the company going away. And so that's reverse mortgage funding. And then American Advisors Group, that's the one that has Tom Selleck.
Yeah.
As their kind of celebrity spokesperson. Well, they decided they were going to get out as well, and another large company kind of acquired their assets, if you will. So
would I not be seeing those commercials anymore?
I didn't see them before, so I haven't been missing them. Yeah, so probably not. I don't know. That's a substantial budget that they have to create to employ Tom Selleck, or at least hire him to do the commercials. So I'm thinking that during this transition period where I don't know if AAG is going to keep their name or it's going to go under the name of the new company. But yeah, so I haven't seen anything. I don't know if they're still doing those ads. I think they continue to have a wholesale platform. In other words, somebody off the street can't call in and get a reverse mortgage from them. But if you're a broker and you're aligned with that particular broker, I think you can still do business with them. And then the company that kind of acquired them, Finance of America Reverse, is kind of doing business, doing their business right now. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's interesting because, Tom Selleck, and again, it's nothing to reflect on him, but, I checked out this company and you can trust them. And again, they haven't actually done anything wrong, but it's just kind of interesting because it makes it sound like they're going to be around for the next 500 years, All right. We're going to cut to our first commercial break here. Before we do, though, we do want to make a couple of mentions. One is for the Mount View Hotel and Spa in Calistoga, which they're offering 25% off their rooms this season. I'm sure if you mentioned you heard it on the Best of Investing, they'll give you that 25%. Just check them out at mountviewhotel.com. It's a beautiful hotel in Calistoga. And also want to make a mention here for Petty Theft at the Mystic Theater in Petaluma on April 8th. They're a tribute band to Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. All right, here's our first trivia question. Where the first caller with the correct answer is going to win the tanning certificate, which is worth over $100. Here we go. We're talking somewhat old TV shows. A man used his wit and ingenuity to get out of some tough problems using stuff like duct tape and a good Swiss Army knife that would help. All right, what was the name of that TV show? And I think it was in the 80s, if I'm not mistaken. 888-912-1190. First caller with the correct answer wins that tanning certificate. Stay with us. The Best of Investing. I'll be right back. Welcome back to the Best of Investing. Again, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with my special guest, Michael Brouse, who is a reverse mortgage specialist. All right, first trivia question. What somewhat old TV show is this, where a man uses his wit and ingenuity to get out of some tough problems? Stuff like using duct tape and a good Swiss Army knife. What's the name of that TV show?
That was your first caller.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. That was fast.
Yeah, before you get the question out, I know what it is. I think I know who it is. It's MacGyver.
MacGyver. That is correct.
MacGyver. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, it's so funny because it reminds me of my Big Fat Greek Wedding, where he says duct tape and Windex can fix anything. All right. So Michael, talk about reverse mortgage for purchase.
Yeah, reverse mortgage for purchase. So the acronym, everything is an acronym in lending. Yeah. So I don't want to presume that the listening audience would know, but H for P, which stands for HECM for purchase. And a HECM is an acronym for a home equity conversion mortgage. Okay. So this is a home equity conversion mortgage for purchase. So instead of doing a refinance where the borrower currently owns the home, then they're going to do a reverse mortgage. This is actually purchasing a home with a reverse mortgage and subsequently not having a mortgage payment, for the rest of their life. Granted, they have to cover the property taxes and homeowners insurance, but typically 50% down will secure that. So so that's kind of the way that works. And I could, kind of go over a scenario where
please,
might come into play.
How many people have 50% down?
Well, that's the thing. If they bought, a lot of people bought the home maybe in the 90s for 100,000, 120 here in Northern California. It's certainly possible to do that. And now it's up, over $1 million. But what's happening is that house that they bought in the 90s does not meet their needs anymore.
Yeah. And
they're either looking at too much house, too much property, or a second story.
Yeah, I was just thinking of that.
That they're unable to navigate anymore. So they're in this home. It's, they've built their life in this home. They've raised their kids. And now they're looking around going, man, I'd love to move, but I don't think I can. I don't know how that would work, right? Because prices have gone up. And, I know we have a lot of equity in this home, but I don't know, how that would work. And furthermore, man, my property tax rate is nice and low. I don't want to buy a new home and then be subject to that higher property tax rate.
Yep.
So we've talked about it before. As far as the property tax rate goes, a lot of times you can go with county to county or even outside of the county and transfer that tax basis. So that is something that you would check, with your title officer, or you could actually check, with the county assessor for the county that you're thinking about moving into, to find out, hey, is there a reciprocal agreement between these counties where I can sell my current home and transfer my tax basis to the new home? So that's one hurdle and one aspect that the a homeowner might be looking at. Now remember, this is for folks 62 or older, and they begin to say, look, I need to get out of this 2-story. I have physical limitations. I haven't even seen the second story of my house for a couple years, and I've literally set up my living arrangement downstairs. I might be doing all of my bathing in a half bath.
That actually is exactly the type of situation that the house that we purchased back in 2006, an older woman had basically lived on, there was a first story where the second story was below. And so she lived on the 1 story, and she ended up renting out the whole downstairs to somebody else because she was in a wheelchair. She couldn't get to it.
Right. So, yeah, and that's a very real thing. And you say, well, how many people are like that? Well, I mean, the folks that are experiencing this, it's quite traumatic. And the thing is they don't often tell people about it. They kind of at times will suffer in silence. And but maybe we can get into how the numbers work at some point here. But it is a great opportunity, especially the realtors. The realtors get a listing, right? Because they're going to list the home for the seller, but they're also going to represent the buyer on that. So there's 2 ways that the realtor can help their business, but also help the folks who are selling the home solve a huge problem for them. And there is one designation called the senior real estate specialist. It's an SRES, I think is the acronym, and you become specialized in understanding the needs of seniors. And folks with that designation, man, if they don't know or haven't heard about this H4P or purchasing a home with a reverse mortgage, it can really breathe new life into their practice. And that they'll begin to hear of folks that are kind of where they need to really move, but they're afraid. They don't know how the numbers would work. They haven't had they haven't bought a home for years, right? Because they've been in that home, and it's kind of a scary place to be. But getting with them, going over detail by detail with them.
I would think I would think these people who specialize with seniors would be familiar with PECs. I mean, that's kind of a major...
I wish we could poll. Edward.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting? It reminds me, we've asked a lot of realtors, they don't even know about us at Pacific Private Money being able to do bridge loans. And they go, oh, I didn't know that you guys could help me buy my next house without selling the first one. Yeah, that's exactly what a bridge loan is. I'll tell you what, Michael, stay with us. We're going to cut to another commercial break here. We come back, we're going to continue with you. By the way, really quickly, how do people get a hold of you if they have questions of reverse mortgages?
Sure, 707-888-8230, and that will work for phone and text, 707-888-8230, or norcalreverse.com.
Perfect.
Or calreverse.com.
Okay, Michael Brouse. All right, second trivia question. This is again somewhat old TV shows. 2 Miami police officers fight corruption in Miami. There's also an alligator named Elvis. Okay, that's our trivia question. Call 888-912-1190. First caller with the correct answer wins a tanning certificate, which is worth over $100 and is transferable. Stay with us. The Best of Investing. We'll be right back. Don't touch that dial. Welcome back to the Best of Investing. Edward Brown here along with Michael Brouse, NorCal Reverse Mortgage. Second trivia question. Which TV show was one, probably from the 80s, I think. 2 Miami police officers fight corruption in Miami. And there's also an alligator named Elvis, if that helps. What's the name of the TV show? Go ahead.
Miami Vice.
Miami Vice, that is correct. Starring?
That was starring Dawn.
Johnson.
Doc
Very
Johnson,
good.
yeah.
All right, we're going to shift gears for just a little bit here from the reverse mortgage. So interesting, Pacific Private Money, we've been so busy with loan requests that we've opened up another fund. It's actually a REIT, a real estate investment trust called the Pacific Opportunity Fund. And it's going to do primarily commercial type loans, but it'll be kind of a hybrid. Here's the benefit. With a REIT, it has to pay out 90% in order for it to qualify as a REIT, pay out distributions. It's planning on paying out, I think, around 8 to 10%. You do have to be an accredited investor, of course, like all of our funds. But the benefit of having a REIT is that there's no income limitation with regard to QBID, standing for Qualified Business Income Deduction. And what that means is, like with all of our other regular funds that are these, what they call 506 Reg D funds, you do get the 20% deduction, i.e. if we pay you $10,000, you only have to report $8,000 on your tax return if you qualify. And the if you qualify is your income can't be too high. I think the number is 315,000, but don't quote me. Check with your CPA about what the QBID limits are. However, in a REIT, the individual doesn't matter because it's the REIT that takes the advantage of it. And instead of getting a K1, you get a 1099, so your taxes are a little bit easier to get prepared. In addition, you don't have to worry about UBTI. Again, we're talking about all these acronyms, unrelated business taxable income. What that means is that, let's say you had money in your IRA that you wanted to invest. You don't have to worry about any potential taxes on your IRA for any UBTI. And sometimes there's some organizations, actually none of our funds right now have to worry about that because we're not leveraged, but we're potentially going to have this new fund leveraged and to take advantage of the fact that we can, invest at 11 or 12% interest and only borrow at, 7, 8, 9% interest. They get that arbitrage. And they don't plan on leveraging it too high. So they'll try to keep it fairly conservative. One of the gentlemen named Fabio is an experienced, he's very experienced in this area. So he seems like a good egg, a good manager, so to speak. So that's our new fund called the Opportunity Fund, which again is a REIT. For our other funds, we have like one of the funds that I manage, I'm one of the managers, is called the Southwest Note Fund. And what's simple about that is it pays just a flat 8% interest, no higher, no lower. You get paid on a monthly basis. And again, it does qualify for QBID if you qualify. And let's see, you do have to be an accredited investor. So you have to have a net worth exclusive of your home of $1 million or more. Or you make $200,000 a year if you're single, $300,000 if you're married. The best part, I think, is the fact that it's extremely conservative. So the average loan to value in the fund is about 44%, but we're buying notes at a discount. So our average ITV, i.e. investment to value, is only about 30%. So there's a lot of cushion in case you have a drop in the real estate market. In addition, it's fairly liquid. So most funds, you have to stay in for at least a year or else there's an early withdrawal penalty. With us, excuse me, or with that fund, as long as you give us 30 days notice, there's no early withdrawal penalty. So you could put your money in today, 3 months. In fact, we did that. We had that. We had a guy invest in December. And then about 2 weeks ago, he called and he said, oh, shoot, I need my money out. I'm sorry. You go, you don't have to apologize. You're giving us now a new 30-day notice. And so you'll get your money back in 30 days. We already redeemed half of his money about a week later. And we've got, another 20 days or whatever to redeem the other half. So it's been a nice conservative fund, no losses, again, pretty conservative. If you think about it, everybody needs a place to live. And with that much equity in these borrowers' houses, usually they're not going to walk away. They'll sell the house before they're going to, let us take it on average, right? Plus the monthly mortgage payment is much less, or I shouldn't say much less, is usually less than what these borrowers would pay if they rented an apartment. So can you imagine if you own a house, let's just say it's worth 100,000 and you owe 44,000 and your mortgage payment's $500 a month. A, where can you live for less than $500 a month? And B, you've got so much equity in that property, wouldn't you just sell it and pay off the loan? I mean, why would you not do that, right? So a lot of people will, they'll have, if they could get into trouble, they'll probably ask cousins or aunts or uncles or whatever to live with them or friends to help pay that mortgage, you know. So and most of the loans are actually, all the loans are outside of California, so the foreclosure laws are a lot friendlier to the lender. So it gives us some leeway. You know, we don't want to throw people out of their houses. We want to try to work with them. We just want to make sure that we get paid, right? I mean, we have a fiduciary duty to our clients to make sure that they get their distribution, so we owe it to them. All right, so in order for, if you want more information on that, it's pacificprivatemoney.com. You can see all the funds that we have out there. There's a smorgasbord. There's a fund for everyone. All right. Tell you what, let's get to our third commercial trivia question. We come back, Michael is going to talk more about reverse mortgages. So here's our third trivia question. A fast-talking, fast-walking group of people help the president solve problems that most of the time they've caused. What's the name of that TV show? All right, call 888-912-1190. First caller with the correct answer wins the tanning certificate. Stay with us. The Best of Investing. I'll be right back. Welcome back to the Best of Investing. One more time, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Michael Brouse, reverse mortgage specialist. All right, our third trivia question. What's the name of the show where it's probably in the last 20 years, I guess, maybe 30 years. A fast-talking, fast-walking group of people help the president solve problems that most of the time they've caused. What's the name of that show?
Help me on this one.
The West Wing.
Ah, The West Wing.
Yeah. So again, I haven't seen it. It's funny, this is the first time that I've actually asked trivia questions where I've never seen the show, or I didn't know the answers. So
was that Charlie Sheen? Was he in? West
Martin
Wing?
Sheen, I think.
Oh, Martin Sheen.
Martin
Okay.
Sheen. Yeah. I was trying to think who was the main character. I think it was Martin Sheen.
One of the Sheens.
One of the Sheens, that's right. Not Emilio Estevez, right?
Right.
He's one of the sons. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So Michael, let's continue on with the reverse mortgages. Give people a little bit of background about, you know, what they are, why they're potentially an option for older people.
Yeah. Or specifically the reverse for purchase, or just in general?
In general.
In general, you know, the reverse mortgage was created many years ago, really under the Reagan administration, because what they saw was an aging population folks that were living in their home, and they got to a point to where sometimes there was more month left at the end of the money. And so the Federal Housing Administration created a reverse mortgage. And at the time they were a little primitive, come a long way, but really what it was designed to keep seniors in their home, aging in place with no mortgage payment or a little bit of income from the equity in the home. So, you know, they spent their whole lifetime, you know, either paying the mortgage off or paying the mortgage down while saving for retirement or while raising a family. And, you know, sometimes those medical expenses and life in general, you know, overtakes them. And there was really a need to have some additional income, like I said, either through paying off the existing mortgage or creating a stream of income from the equity in the home that came into their, yeah.
I got to think that the first people who came up with the idea said, we got to go to the actuaries and figure out how long are people going to live, which is interesting because we've talked about this before, that they don't ask you to do a health exam, which I would think so I guess they have to assume that everybody's completely healthy, which is probably the most conservative because that means they'll live the longest. But one would hope that they would be able to say, you know, hey, if you're not really that healthy, we'll give you a little bit of a break because we know you're not going to live 10 years. You know, you're only going to live 8 years. And so, you know, we'll give you a little bit of a higher amount. because there's so much money that can get taken out each year. I mean, effectively, it's unlimited, right?
Well, so when we're talking about the amount of equity that may become available through a reverse mortgage, and you're right, it's based on the age of the youngest borrower. So, and the more equity becomes available to you, the older you are, and they do use, like with life insurance, there's mortality tables, and then there's morbidity tables. So morbidity is like how long you're gonna, average age, right? The other one is like how long are you going to be sick? So, maybe before you pass. So those are, and you're right, there are actuarials that look at that. But the cool thing is that it doesn't matter how old you are, you can always apply for a mortgage, a forward mortgage, or a reverse mortgage. With reverse, there is a minimum age, of course, which is 62 on the HECM product.
Yeah, and I do want to kind of correct myself. I said, a potentially unlimited amount of money. What I meant was, if your house is worth $1 million and you take out 500, you take out the max. Let's just pretend it's $500,000 at the age, because of the fact that you never have to pay it back, and all that interest could just keep accruing. Potentially, you could way over, assuming that the house doesn't go up in value fast enough. When I say unlimited amount of money, it's really the interest that you're not paying back that would just keep adding to the loan. Right.
Yeah.
Have you seen that? Have you seen that yet? Where the balance of the loan has exceeded the value of the property?
I haven't personally, but I am aware of realtors who have called me where they're selling the home and they're wondering, how do I find out how much is owed? And then, we tell them to call the servicer, and they say, Mike, the market value is only like 975, and they owe like $1 million. And they've had the reverse mortgage for like 20 years. So that's kind of a case there.
So what do they do? I mean, does the reverse mortgage, are they willing to take a short sale?
Yeah, no, here's the beautiful thing about it. The heirs can purchase the home for fair market value, right? So they don't owe the difference. There's no deficiency judgment. And really what happens, it's an insurance claim. And so when you get a reverse mortgage, there's always upfront mortgage insurance premium, and there's monthly. So when you pay into that, you're paying for what's called a non-recourse feature, meaning the owner can never owe more than the home is worth. So in the case where we got the payoff and the balance of the loan was actually more than what the home is worth, FHA would step in and there would be an insurance claim. And so the lender would be made whole. And that's where the heirs can purchase the home or sell the home.
I wonder how many appraisals they have to get, because, the kids are going to say, oh, the house is only worth $100,000,
Yeah, well, it's like anything else. The appraisers are supposed to be, and they are for the most part. That's their job. They're not appraising the home because there's a reverse mortgage on it, or they're not appraising the home because it's a sale or a purchase. Doesn't matter what kind of loan it is.
Well, hold on. I just realized something. Okay, so let's say mom and dad die, and I effectively inherit the house. If I remember correctly, I have 1 year to settle that.
As long as you're in touch with the servicer. Technically, 30 days is like they want to hear from you.
Gotcha. Okay. So how do they handle that deficiency? Who pays off the 975 in that case?
Well, so anything over and above what the home would sell for, fair market value, the FHA steps in and it's an insurance claim. Okay,
so really, if I'm the kid owning it, I'm not gonna try to necessarily get the home down super low for that purpose, because it's irrelevant. Anything above a certain amount is going to be forgiven anyway.
Correct.
Yeah, it's what I can afford to. Well, unless when I buy the house, though, I've got to get a new loan.
You got to get a new loan.
Yeah. Okay. So that in that case, it would make a difference, because if I can convince the regulator, whoever, that if the house is only worth 600,000, then I only need a smaller loan, and then FHA would come in and pay the difference.
Right. Well, here's another aspect to that. So you've talked about two really important things. The other thing is, what if there's equity in the home? You want it to be the value that it is.
Yeah.
Because that equity goes to the heirs.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, stay with us. The Best of Investing will be back with some closing comments. Don't touch that dial. Welcome back to the Best of Investing. Last time for today, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with my special guest, Michael Brouse, reverse mortgage specialist. So Michael, really quickly, before I get into what a bridge loan is, why wouldn't somebody do a reverse mortgage? If they
well, they wouldn't do a reverse mortgage if they were going to move. I would say, sell the home in less than probably, if you're not going to be in the home any more than 2 years, maybe not be the best idea.
Yeah, because of the upfront fees and that sort of thing. I guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah.
Tell you what, Michael, why don't you give out your information one more time, and then I'll go ahead and talk a little bit about what we're doing with bridge loans.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. Mike Brouse, reverse mortgage specialist with NorCal Reverse, 707-888-8230 or norcalreverse.com.
Great. Okay. So now let's talk a little bit about the bridge loan. So at Pacific Private Money, one of the things we specialize in is the owner-occupied consumer bridge loan. What is that? Well, let's say you own a house and you need to move or want to move and you want to buy another house, but you have a mortgage on your first house. And the bank is telling you, well, I'm sorry, we're not going to give you a loan on this new house until you sell your old one. But you say, but I need to buy this new one. It comes first, the chicken or the egg, right? So at Pacific Private Money, if you have a decent down payment or if you have enough equity in your current house, we can help buy your next house, and you don't have to sell your house yet. So you can effectively own two houses at the same time, and that'll give you time to move into the new house and time to fix up the old one and make a lot of money on that. Plus, it'll give you the advantage of making it mimic an old and all cash buy. Technically, it's not an all cash buy because you're using borrowed money from us, but it looks like it because of how fast we can provide the financing. And in some cases, we can provide more financing than a typical lender, because if we're crossing on the other house, it's possible we could give you 100% of the value of the new house. You can say, yeah, I'm just gonna pay all cash for that house, using our loan. Now, technically, again, you don't check the box that says all cash, but you explain to them that you've got a loan from us. So go to pacificprivatemoney.com and check us out. You can find out how the bridge loan works. I think we have some videos on there. It's not that complicated, and it's amazing how many realtors don't know that we exist. We have to get the word out there. They say, I didn't know that. I had a client who said I can't sell their house, or I can't buy the next house for them yet because we haven't sold the old one. I said, well, here's a nice little tool for you. And again, from a realtor standpoint, they end up making two commissions: the purchase of the new house, the sale of the old one. So again, check out pacificprivatemoney.com and look at our bridge loan products on that. And then from an investing standpoint, go to pacificprivatemoney.com and look at the investor page, invest now, that sort of thing. And we'll show you the 4 different funds. Actually, I guess now it's 5 different funds now that we've added the REIT. But really promoting the REIT, the Southwest Fund, and the Freedom Fund. And the Freedom Fund is primarily the one we do the bridge loans. We're paying anywhere from 7 to 9%, depending upon how much you invest. Same thing, even though it's a 1-year lockup, there is no penalty for early withdrawal. You just give us 30 days notice. So it's almost like a money market account, except you can't write checks on it. All right. Again, pacificprivatemoney.com. We've done hundreds of millions of dollars of loans last year. I don't know how many billions in the last 10 years. So we're not a fly-by-night company. We've been around for a long time. All right, Michael, thank you again for being our guest today. Always a pleasure to have you. And we're going to go to our thoughts for the day. So my doctor said I had the peekaboo virus. Sent me straight to the ICU. Like that? Okay. And my friends and I started a band called 999MB. We still haven't gotten a gig yet. We're close.
Got it.
All right. And with those dad jokes, tune in next week to the Best of Investing. We're going to be giving away more free prizes for answering trivia questions. Thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm Edward Brown, wishing you the best of investing. So long.
See you, Edward. Bye-bye.